These are the 10 cheapest Rolexes you can buy right now without a wait list. A question that's being asked of me 100 times a day. Figured I'd put together a video and go through some of them, and you guys can make a choice. So, cheapest at AD is the Datejust 36 reference 126200. Rolex dealer cannot order sports models from Rolex. They get what they get. You're basically at the mercy of Rolex. What they send you is what you get, and you say thank you very much. You kiss the crown every single day, and you do what you do. Most locations, however, are legitimately able to order a Datejust to your specification and deliver with a few months. Now, the very hottest dials, like mint green dials, often have a longer wait, obviously, because they're more desirable. So you can get most brand new Datejust 36 reference 126200 on the gray market for its list price, which is $74.50 without having to wait. Is it the most exciting Rolex? No, but as far as I'm concerned, majority of Rolexes more or less look the same. No matter how unexciting this one may look in comparison to a Pepsi GMT, it's also still very, very recognizable from afar. Now, what is the cheapest two-tone? It would be the Datejust reference 16013. This thing was produced from 1978 to 1988, and it's probably, no, it is the cheapest good two-tone Rolex watch on the secondary market today. You can pick one of those in the area of $5,000 and even under sometimes, depending on its age, and it's still a very, very recognizable Rolex. If you're looking for a big look for no money, this is your watch. Another 36mm, reference number 116000. Now, the new version, the Oyster Perpetual 126000, has a retail price of $6,100. It would be extremely unlikely to find one for sale at unauthorized dealers. Turquoise and candy pink Oyster Perpetuals can go for about twice their MSRP secondhand, and don't get me started on the Tiffany one. You can, however, readily find a previous generation Oyster Perpetual 36, the 116 that I just mentioned earlier, for around $6,000. And the most popular dials, like the red gray below, can sell for closer to $7,000. 1610LN, the Submariner Date, over 600,000 produced, is by far the most common Rolex Submariner model ever made. I remember a conversation I had with my buddy Paul from London. He said the Submariner is such a popular watch in London that you can stand in the middle of the street, throw a rock in the crowd, and odds are you're gonna hit a Submariner. Now, the 16610 was also the last Submariner Date with an aluminum bezel insert. Newer ones switched to ceramic, as with most Rolexes. Aside from the Kermit, which is the 11610 LV, you should be able to find just about any variant of the 11610 for well under $10,000. Again, prices will vary, but certainly they're out there under 10 grand. And when I tell you this is the most recognizable Rolex in the world, it absolutely is. Cheapest Rolex GMT. Now, I know you're thinking Patmans and Pepsis and things of that nature, right? And they're very expensive and they still trade damn near double its retail value, sometimes a little more. The cheapest 40mm Rolex model is actually the Explorer 2 reference 16570. Now, the GMT Master and GMT Master 2 models generally sell for over $10,000. So if you want the GMT functionality on a budget, consider the 16570. You can often find them available for under $7,000, particularly the pre-2000s models, which have hollow end links. That's how you can tell the difference. The best part about it is you get a great look and feel with these watches, both the white and the black dial. White dial probably being more popular. I personally prefer the black dial over the white dial. It gives it more of a tool look, where the white looks a little, I don't know, more refined. If you know, I just feel that the black one is a little more rugged looking for what it is. I've said it for numerous years. These are probably some of the most undervalued Rolexes out there. Why? Because it kind of looks outside of the norm. You don't have a bezel insert. You have this funny 24-hour display on this particular bezel. It's just, I feel like if they made this bezel colorful, it would just be as popular as any other GMT out there. But hey, this is where you come in and get the value. What is the cheapest Rolex with an easy link? Well, that would be the Explorer 39, reference 21470. The Explorer has been an iconic 36mm watch since, what, 1950s, I believe? The Explorer 39, reference 214270, appeared in 2010. And in 2016, the dial and the hands were updated. This Mark II version addressed the complaints about the short hands and unloomed 369 markers of the Mark I. You can easily get the Mark I for about $7,000 pre-owned. The Explorer 40, which costs $77.50 from an AD, shouldn't have too much of a wait list, but nevertheless, it still does. Cheapest Rolex sports model? That would be the Explorer 36 reference 14270. It was made from 1989 to 2001. It is the very cheapest Rolex sports watch you can buy pre-owned, with some decent examples available for under $5,000. The Explorer 36 reference 124270 is probably the easiest current steel Rolex sports model to get from an authorized dealer at its retail price of $7,250. But why would you if you can buying more or less the same watch for under $5,000. Now, what is the cheapest 40mm sports Rolex? That would be the Air King, reference 116900. This was debuted back in 2016. 40mm, Mercedes hands, and the cockpit-inspired dial. You can pick up the 116900 for around $7,500. You'll pay the same price for its replacement, the 126900, brand new from an authorized dealer, but the wait time, you're looking today at an average of about 73 days, not so bad. Or you can just pay an extra $1,000 and get it from the gray market instantly. Another one of those watches that I felt were always undervalued, and the reason I say that is because anytime you look at a Rolex that has different coloring on a dial, in the case of this watch, right? Where the markers are set a bit differently, where it's just different from the norm. Long future, this is the stuff that's going to fetch more dollars. Let's talk about the Air King 5500. If you prefer sort of the classic 34mm small Air King, the 5500 is one of the cheapest worthwhile vintage Rolexes you can get. Now, some decent example can be found under $3,000, although you may pay more for less common variants with, let's say, honeycomb dials, company logos, etc. Remember the old Domino's pieces? Yes, that's the ones that I'm talking about. I often get asked the question as to, oh, wow, this watch is like 50 years old. Why is it not like, $100,000 like some of the other stuff? Think about what I said earlier. Made for 32 years. You can only imagine how many of them are out there. It's all about supply and demand. And again, 34mm, it is kind of small. The Long Island Rolex, the reference 7002, widely referred to as the Rolex presentation watch or award watch because it was so often given as a corporate milestone award. Now, these were gold-filled cases, usually engraved in the back with original owner's name, along with company name and the length of tenure, usually 25 or 30 years that is celebrated. The cases were made in Long Island, New York by Latwell Watch Case Company, hence the Long Island Rolex. 35mm, it's not an Oyster Plex, i.e. it's not waterproof, and these things are out there for less than $3,000. Not a typical Rolex, right? Not one that will get instantly recognized, but however, there is that big crown at 12 o'clock, and it does say Rolex across the top, so certainly recognition on a watch, maybe not as much as you would on a steel model that looks more like a Rolex outside of this watch, which looks a lot more dressy. So if you are on the budget and you still want that Rolex, that first money watch, the biggest flex, the most recognizable brand in the world, you have plenty of options. Meanwhile, if you don't mind, like, comment, share, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.